How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Q&A. Today we'll be showing off, or Mod Ghost will be showing off, a new reward from Master Clue Scrolls to come in the near future. Aside from that, today we have Mod Jed.
Hey.
Ian.
Hi.
Mod Kieran.
Hey.
Mod Ash is back after 3 weeks.
Hello. I missed you.
They're very happy. And myself, Mod Archie. So, let's do this. This is always awkward for me. I'm going to hold this thing. It's been 1 week since Monkey Madness's 2 release. How would you say the quest performed?
Been really happy with the overall feedback and reception that it got from the players. Lots of people playing it and getting the stats to take part in it. Overall, very happy.
Cool. Anything else to add?
I think this has went down as one of the most popular updates ever, to be honest. There's been so much positive feedback from the community. The amount of community engagement with the streams on release day, it was amazing. I really enjoyed watching it after it went out.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we got to see the community working their way through something where none of them knew the answer, because we haven't given them a new quest ever. And
yes.
It's been pretty rare that we gave them even clue scrolls to work out for themselves. So it's great to see people, trying to work things out, spamming each other's streamer chats to give hints, whether right or wrong, of course.
Yeah, exactly that, because some people were spamming requests saying, go this place, but that worked for them, but it didn't necessarily work for that player because they're different routes. It was really fun to watch.
I mean, it's rare we even release content that they don't know every detail about, right? So
yep.
It was awesome.
We're going to do our best not to reveal any spoilers, by the way, if you haven't completed
Not
the
that
quest.
the chat is not going to cover.
Don't read the chat. Okay, a few more Monkey Madness 2 questions mixed along in here, but let's go to the first question here from a Bear, who asks, can we get some sort of a buff to the Obsidian staff? So, this has come up a bunch of times.
I would like to see that useful in some way. It's remarkably rare. I've never been clear whether that's intentional or not. It's kind of written as a random thing inside another random thing, and it's entirely possible that somebody didn't quite write it right. But since it's rare, it would be nice to do stuff with it.
Is it weirdly rare compared to the other Obsidian drops?
I think it is.
It is. It's 1 in 4,000.
Wow.
Yeah. It's two-handed, so the suggestion is make it one-handed, so you can use a book with it. There you go. It's a nice little buff. Or allow the Berserker Necklace to work with it, which is another nice little buff. Another suggestion was give it a unique spell, without any suggestions as to what that spell is, but yeah.
I would be well open to doing something with it. And I mean, John had an idea of tying it into construction by having some sort of chain fence where the obsidian staffs are the posts.
I feel like that's
And
weird
that
use.
would be an item sink for them, it would be.
Yeah.
How cool would that look though? A fence with the glowing staff in the middle.
Yeah, and you can hang circle on it.
Yeah, the circle would be the chain.
Yes.
Perfect.
The thing to remember is if we do end up adding a new spell and it works like the other spells on the spell book, in the way Flames of Zamorak and things like that work, is that to add it in, you end up with all the other spells shifting position to make space for it, or we stick it at the bottom. And neither's ideal. So unless you like it converted to work like the Trident, of course, where it's got a spell built into it, either way, that's something to think about if you ever do ask us to put another spell in for just one item.
I'd say the safest bet would be letting it have the same effect as the Berserker Necklace, but that's obviously strictly for strength, so would you then have to do that for the Obby Rings? It's a bit odd.
I think we're in favour of doing something with it.
Yeah, we got that far. Alright, next question. Steel Plates asks, could we see a music composition competition?
I think I touched upon it last time when we were talking about making the tools open for players. That would be something that'd be really nice. People could send in their MIDIs and things like that, and if it's good enough, it could end up in game. Because at the moment we have to borrow people to make music, and so it can be, not sure, difficult to acquire. But if people are sending it in, we can put it in everywhere we want.
Well, also, we know from what you've said before that you also can write music.
Yeah,
and
it'd be nice
I would
if
like
got
to
the tools as well.
Yes, so we're all in favour of that kind of thing because it includes us.
Okay. Next question. Yunbel asks, drop rates for the Tortured Gorillas?
A few more weeks yet. They've only been out a week.
I would like to see Ronan do a 1,000 kill stream before we give you actual numbers.
Yeah, that'd be a
see
very
whether
good
it
thing.
matched his stream or not.
But what I will say is that the Tortured Gorillas do drop all the uniques that the Demonic Gorillas also drop, but the Tortured Gorillas have a drop rate 10 times rarer than the Demonic Gorillas.
Ooh. There's some info for you. Moving on. Bertho asks...
I was going to say, we've actually got an animation for the Tortured Gorillas and Demonic Gorillas dropping from above, so the rate of dropping could be... well, I'm sure we can have some fun on Roland's stream, whether he likes it or not.
Well, assuming Gelenor's the same as the Earth, the acceleration would be 9.81 meters a second.
Yeah, it looks a bit more discontinuous if you see the animation in action.
How about we just drop 1,000 of
The
them
demonic
from the
ones
sky?
is because they flap their wings on the way down to
Aye,
sort of
so-
slow their descent,
yeah,
but it
that-
doesn't
yeah,
make
that
sense
makes
with the
sense.
tormented ones because they still slow their descent even though they don't actually have any way of flying.
Well, you only have so many frames to play with.
And the artist kind of left the company in the middle of the job.
Yes, that's true. Mad Alfred.
Oh, yeah. Right, this question is from Bertho, who asks, can we double the max charges of the crystal bow to 5,000 and increase its range strength by about 15?
I've never been a fan of buffing that one thing.
If we were going to do something like that, I'd rather release a new bow that had those better stats and also had the ammo thing and make it a lot more difficult to obtain.
Yeah, 'cause it's already very powerful for what it is.
Yeah.
If we change what the darn thing does on death, then maybe we can talk about doing improvements to it, but preferably not in the other order. Because I don't really like its behaviour in PvP on death.
I agree. 100%.
Untradables in general.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
we've been considering looking at, we've got a handful of PvP ideas
Yeah.
to consider polling shortly, so as soon as we get around to that.
I would be quite glad to see that done, assuming the community's actually in favour. A lot of the people in the chat have been, but that's hard to tell it's representative of anything.
Yeah, so just a real quick explanation of kind of what we're talking about here is untradables in, say, the wilderness would be, it's not damaged, they would be lost on death, and then you could pay a fee to reclaim them, and then the person who killed you would get whatever that fee is.
So it'd be similar to the way Barrow's gloves, they drop and they disappear,
Yeah.
and then you have to go and buy more from that chest. We could just bring it in for more items, and you perhaps go and buy it back from Purdue, something like that. And it's just a way to get them items out of the game and make players actually risk something.
Yep.
Yeah, the PKer who kills you should get something,
Yeah.
and you should lose something or have to pay something to get it back again.
Yeah, I've seen some good suggestions where perhaps the person who kills you gets 75% of what you would pay to get it back.
That's a cash
Okay.
thing, you mean?
As in the person who kills you would get coins,
Yeah, I mean,
and you would have to go and pay.
yeah, so the number of coins you're paying into the game and the
Is
number of
more.
coins coming out the game would be
Yeah.
different, so there's a sort of cash thing going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, it comes down to balancing, really, and how much people would have to pay for Void and Fire Capes and all that, but put Crystal Bow on there. Yeah.
The crystal bow is one of the things I'd really want on there most of all, especially as you can do quite a lot of damage with a crystal bow and no other items present.
Okay, look forward to that in the future. Next question, Origin asks, since the Crystal Halberd has the Dragon Halberd spec, can the Crystal Bow get the Magic Longbow spec?
Once again, any buffs to that item in its current state would just not be a good idea. I think we'd have to have that degradable or lost on death feature first.
Yeah, that makes sense. Chemical Junior asks, could you make Isafdar, the Elven lands, like Moss the Harmless, however you say that, in a sense where there are rare impling spawns, similar to Puro Puro? So he says basically the reasoning for this is there's lots of questing behind it, it would discourage bots, and the traps and dense forest will make it quite difficult to catch all these implings.
That would make it a pain.
If one of them things leads you right through a trap, you're gonna sulk.
Yes. I'd be open to having some more impling spawns around the world in general, because there ain't that many. And I don't believe Mostly Harmless currently has all the rare spawns that it used to have.
There isn't anything called a crystalline impling, is there? Well, yeah, like we've got
No,
dragon
now again,
implings,
there
ninja
isn't.
drink things.
They do
Well-
have a crystal impling in RS3.
Well, we could have a different one that does what this player described and is associated with the Elven lands for that reason.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Moving on. Fizzmaster Cola asks, will we be seeing a variety of roles with raids? So he says, for example, Could you see teams that might need a tank with heavy melee gear, or maybe a healer with lunars?
I'd expect so. I haven't read the detailed stuff that John wrote, and he's not around to ask right at the moment, but I think that's kind of inevitable with almost any kind of combat rewrite.
With all the boss designs that are within raids, they all certainly require people to be doing different things. It's very likely. Maybe not rules in the same sense that you're thinking of, but players will have to do certain things, and other players will be doing something else, that sort of thing.
I think a healer role sounds really cool. I wouldn't do that myself. I'd be the
That's
attacker.
the problem we've always had with a healer role, because RuneScape's never been very good for rewarding the healer role, and loot share is rather hard to get through a poll. But if we, in raiding dungeons, we would need to be rewarding the party, even if we bias it towards the people who are doing most of the effort, we would be rewarding the entire party in some way, shape or form, so a healer would be more likely to come away with some stuff for having been a healer, or having been present and been useful.
Okay. Player asks, will you be adding Kruk and /or Gluff from the Monkey Madness 2 boss fights to Nightmare Zone? Spoiler alert.
So the final battle was made repeatable in today's update anyway. I would have been okay with him being in the Nightmare Zone. I think he would have actually been harder to fight in the Nightmare Zone because there would be less scenery to dodge around. But if you go to Zubnot's house in the Gnome Stronghold, you can repeat that final boss battle.
I think it was suggested that that boss in Nightmare Zone might be a little bit too nasty. Although given that there's a giant rock in there and Glod in there, too nasty is quite a vague thing. I rewrote Nightmare Zone, a lot of its code a couple of months ago now, when we were adding the menu, so you could choose which bosses would appear in a big rumble. And when I was doing that, I made it possible to add more bosses in future, added more space for there to be more, another 30 before we run out of space. So, yes.
Someone said stop smelling. I'm like, I feel bad because I spoiled that right as I said that. But.
So there's room for a lot more bosses to be added to Nightmare Zone, but we have chosen for the moment not to put that boss in there. But we could.
Okay. Moving on. Boy asks, can we have an ornament kit for the lava battle staff?
It's a weird one.
I think it looks good on its own, personally.
It's one of the plainer looking combo staffs.
I would certainly be open to it as a treasure reveal thing.
Well, it's a stick with a kind of with an orange on the end.
Oh.
So yeah, I'd be up for it not looking like a stick with an orange on the end.
What about, is it animated?
Don't think so.
We could kind of throw the fire cape texture on that, make it animated? No?
It's a bit small. Technically, it's got a texture, in fact. It's so you get a kind of speckling effect when you move it around in the game, but it's not proper animation as such, it's just glitching.
All right. Ed Hicks asks, what's the point of the light ballista? It seems quite useless. So some people are saying it's not as good as they were hoping. That's because it's obviously got a lower requirement, meant for lower levels.
Yeah, so in the same way that you wouldn't use a lower tier item if you're a main, it's the same thing applies to this. So it's for people with 40 ranged who can't use the heavy ballista but still want to be able to have a KO weapon in the wilderness.
It's kind of like saying don't use an Addy Simi if you have a dragon one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is quite expensive for what it is, and the fact you share the same pieces between the two means that it will be expensive, but if you're PKing at that level, you will be more powerful than other people.
So there are some requests saying it makes sense because it's lighter. Could you speed it up and give it a buff in that sense to make it more viable for training, but less likely for like a KO weapon? Any thoughts on that?
Perhaps if its requirement were raised a bit along with the buff.
Yeah, if we made it similar requirement to the heavy one, it just had different gameplay mechanics, that could be feasible.
I can't really see it being used out of PvP either, to be honest. Even if it was made faster, the javelins are used up and it's very expensive to use.
Addy javelins are quite cheap, but and it reminds me very much, if we speed it up a lot, it's going to just be a Carol's bow, isn't it? Because the bolts, you're not getting those back.
That's
it's going to be
true.
a fast training or a fast hitting weapon in that sense. So yeah.
There was a parameter put into the combat system years and years ago to make ammo destroyed when you fire it, and it was only ever used on Kurel's ammo. So it's very nice to have the javelins be the other things that use it after, well, another 11 years.
one of the few things that was coded with the ability to expand it.
Find, yeah.
Okay. Lute asks, yeah, there we are. Can we get Ashes to Peaches spell for the Archaeos spellbook? Somebody said apples, but they aren't edible, and another person said avocados. I ended up settling with peaches.
I think that's pretty cool. Maybe not peaches, maybe something different to what the normal spellbook offers, but totally. I don't
Are
know
you
what.
considering how you'd feel being converted to a peach?
I was thinking about plums, but that's good too.
There, Ashes to plums.
Ashes to plums.
There we go.
Or the
But no,
durian.
I would certainly be open
The
to a spell
question
like
of the
that,
stream.
and you get something that heals the same as a peach, essentially.
Papayas.
Ooh. Given
Papayas
some
are
of the feedback
better.
we've had about,
Yeah.
adding more sources of fruit to the game after yesterday's blog, I'm not sure this is a good time for anything to papayas spell.
Yeah.
Peaches is safe.
What would
Could
you
that
like
be
to
a
turn into?
Abuse in any sense? I guess you're just going to start pick up your ashes after fire making, and then... Actually, no, it's not even... It's definitely not worth it, but...
You've
What-
got light fires and wait for 2 minutes or whatever it is. for
What
the fight
bosses are going to
burn.
drop you a whole bunch of ashes where that's actually useful?
I
Or
don't know about a
monsters?
bunch of ashes. I do see people collecting them at the moment because you can get fast herbal or XP.
Well, yeah, that's serum 2, 3, 7 or 8 from Morton. You can use quite a lot of ashes that way.
Do you know why there's an apostrophe? What's missing?
I think it's trying to be dead town with a kind of gap in the middle, a bit like Mosler Harmless has or something.
People saying Zemi. Zemi's not killed as much as the... Okay, Cerberus, that makes more sense. I didn't know he dropped ashes.
That's
There
it.
you go.
Didn't know that either.
But then other tasks like Abyssal Demons, obviously, it's a way to just get extra food to last.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Okay.
makes sense.
Moving on. Promic asks, suggestion rather. After you complete Monkey Madness 2, you have the ability to put an Apatold teleport in your portal chambers in your player-owned house.
That'd be lovely, but we checked and found that all the available option slots are occupied, I'm afraid. If we had a new room type with a new set of hotspots in there, then one of them could be an Apatold portal. But it wouldn't be quite what the player seems to
So
be
we have
looking
all
for.
these limits in construction. Is there a limit on the number of new room types we can add?
Yes, but it's quite a high limit,
Okay,
and we're
awesome.
nowhere near it. I reckon that given quite a lot of time, one could rewrite the construction code to support twice as much data per room. At the moment, the whole thing was designed to have just 32 bits per room, which is trying to encompass the room's position in your house, the room's type, which is where the limit comes in, and what's on the 7 hotspots in there, which is why we're limited to, I think, 3 hotspots with 7 options and 4 hotspots with 3 options. The whole thing adds up to the number of bits allocated. Now, if we allocate twice as many bits of data for each room, that will let us do twice as much stuff. Well, considerably more stuff, in fact, 'cause you wouldn't need to save the position out again. So we could have more options on the existing hotspots and a few more hotspots to boot. And I would rather like to do it. Drawback is that will take a pretty long time to pull off. I think it's worth it if the players don't mind waiting a very long time between updates.
How much time are you talking?
Well, considering the amount of dev time I've had on my actual projects since I got back from holiday last Wednesday, I've put in, half a day's work due to all the other stuff I've been doing. I reckon a couple of weeks, and then you'd really want to retest the entirety of POH. Of course, I was hoping to potentially have a go at sanitising the POH code while I implement that construction menu that we talked about at RuneFest last year. And since I'd have to rewrite a lot of the construction code for that, it would probably become easier to tie in this extra data at that point.
Yeah.
But I also need to look into whether it's hitting some limits at the moment, because I've seen a couple of things come up on the logs that suggest we are getting near those limits already.
That'll be an interesting one, but I can't wait for that menu.
I would like to do that menu. Sorry, I kind of went away for a couple of weeks and kind of got married, so I'll focus on RuneScape again soon.
All right, next question. Passa asks, could you make it so that when you examine the ore bag in Motherlode Mile, it can tell you how many ores are in the bag?
Can't do dynamic text on the examine. Can give it an op for asking though.
Okay.
Although I wouldn't mind doing an overlay in there that just tells you on your screen wherever you are, if you're in the vicinity of the machine, because why not?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Makes sense. BOGO asks, can we add firelighter charges to Tinderbox so that it says, so that say 100 firelighters is 100 logs for fire making?
It was a suggested reward from a treasure trail, and it's in the list of you'll get some fire starter object, and that would be charged with the firelighters, and basically do that. Well, if you use that instead of the tinderbox, you'd get the red fire or the blue fire.
Do people have that many firelighters? Like, enough to start lighting thousands of logs? I mean,
I don't know.
I have seen people with very high collections of these things.
yeah.
Does that mean that all places in the game that use a tinderbox need to use this alternate form of the Twisted Firestarter or whatever it's called?
Probably just on logs,
Okay.
perhaps. We'll see when it comes to it.
I seem to remember the devs who wrote Stealing Creation saying that they were only going to put in the hatchets for just the standard trees because no one would expect it to work anywhere else. And it turned out that's not how players saw it.
We can name it specifically.
The
Or-
log lighter.
Yes. Because firelighters won't work on other things, I
No,
guess.
that's true.
We'll have a look at it.
Okay. Next question. Arella asks, can we allow spell stacking to occur as it used to in the past? For reference, some ancient spells used to be an instant cast while others were slightly delayed. I'm immediately thinking like the Blitz took a couple seconds to show up and then you could kind of combo it with the Barrage.
Interesting. Wonder why that was.
Was it Blitz or was it the lower level ones?
It beats me. Blitz definitely did. At least it
Because
took
doesn't
like...
that already have a delay enough to stack?
I don't think it's quite as much as it used to be. It might have been like Rush or something, but I could have sworn it was Blitz. People are saying Bursted as well. Blitz most definitely it was. You could, because you could Blitz from a little bit far away. I wouldn't know from personal experience, and then you could rush in with the DDS or claws or something, and the hits would show up at the exact same time.
I'm sure you can already do that, unless it's just a bigger difference.
There was an engine change in about 2010 or maybe 2009 where all delays suddenly got one tick shorter, and content developers went through the game and tried to increase all of them again by one and didn't always get them all, which might have accounted for unexpected timing changes that turned up in later years. Of course, recreating that would be a bit awkward because what you'd be asking for is an engine change that affects everything and then just the right combination of things to be fixed afterwards.
I swear the Heavy Ballista has a little bit of it right now. Like you shoot it and it takes a second for the hit to show up. Maybe it's just the animation playing a little bit earlier than the hit.
The animation really does run a little bit earlier than the hit.
Yeah.
But there's nothing custom in there about its delay because we took that out after the live stream where it was demoed.
Right.
And the players asked for it to be changed, so I changed it.
Yep. Okay. Next question then. Slay Masters asks, can scammers at the Grand Exchange be thrown into a platform maze like in Monkey Madness 2, but they're forced to complete it before they can return, otherwise they're stuck forever?
Like a random event.
Yes. Ooh. Without a reward.
2 hours later.
Who sends them there?
Sorry?
It would
Would we
be
manually go and send them, or would it be like enough people report you for scamming and you just end up there? Because I can see
everyone's just going to go around and
Streamers
report
being
everyone
censored.
for
Yeah,
scamming.
You're just going to have clans that go around putting people on that platform.
I think the offense would have to be confirmed on our end. And maybe on top of like a mute offense, you're also stuck on this place until you can get out.
To be honest, if you've got a mute offence on you, you're probably not doing a lot of talking or scamming.
It would be hilarious, but it doesn't really work.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. Sorry, guys. Spia, by the way, probably about 4 minutes we'll switch to Mod Ghost, if that's all right, yeah? Just give me a yes. So Spia asks, do you have any plans to either reduce or make toggleable the noise made by pets?
We currently don't have a way of making it toggleable on a player-by-player basis. What we have done where sound was particularly annoying is simply remove it.
Okay. A little relevant here. Oxygen asks, can the audio bars have more settings than just the 25% increments?
Yeah, that's pretty easy. It involves deleting about 10 lines of code.
Really?
From the engine point of view, you'd have to obviously put it into content that there were more notches on the slider bar as well.
Could we add, say, twice as many options?
Don't see why not.
Ooh.
I always see myself, I would find like the right place on the RuneScape sound, then configure my Windows sound, so I balanced it with my music and stuff.
RuneScape's very influential that way.
That would be nice. All right. Pie for Life asks, can the achievement diary list be changed to be in alphabetical order, please?
Yes. The developer who implemented that was not fully trained on interface programming and chose not to try doing a quick sort on it. Whereas, firstly, we could just move the thing because it's not going to change. We don't have to support multiple languages the way things currently are. Or, yes, I can actually sort text on an interface alphabetically if I really have to. Yeah, we can do that now. I think what was going on at the time was he was really quite keen not to move the Karamja one because that was already there.
Right. Okay.
I wish he reached for perfection.
Next question. GB Chris asks, any updates on the idea when you suggested where metal dragons would drop scales corresponding to their respective dragon type? These scales would then be smeltable at a furnace for 1 to 3 bars per scale. Like a couple months ago, we said we liked it. Didn't go anywhere past that.
Well, there's a lot of stuff we like, and we know what we've been working on the last few months.
I think it's a reasonable idea, though.
Yeah.
Because no one's picking up the bars, and this would mean you still have to pick them up. You pick up the scales and do something with the scales.
So yeah, we still like the idea, but time is finite, and somebody wrote a big-ass quest.
Alrighty then, last question before we head over to the sneak peek of the week. The White Way asks, was the farming patch reward from Monkey Madness 2 scrapped, or will it be added in the future?
Well, when Monkey Madness 2 was first being talked about, we hadn't added any farming patches in a while. And as it turned out, with Zare, we ended up adding a new allotment, new spirit tree. We added grape farming. We added a whole farming mini game. So I think we added an absolute crap ton of farming content, and we don't really need any more. Right now, anyway.
That's a new expression. I've not heard that one before. I call it a buttload.
That works.
To follow up, he says, Zenite jewelry was made, but why weren't Zenite bolt tips?
We need more bolt tips in this game.
How many people use Onyx bolt tips?
I
think a lot more people go for dragon. Unless we gave these like a really good
The
effect.
only use of Onyx bolt tips is alking.
Yeah, I think they're about at alch value. They have a healing effect, right? What's left to give an effect for a bolt?
And there's so many cool effects in game that people just don't use as well.
They would be so expensive.
I think it's like people keep asking for more agility courses. It's not the thing the game's gagging for. I mean, it'd be nice variety for players, perhaps, to have just something different for a change, but...
So then what is the game gagging for, Ash?
That, what it says on the screen.
What?
There's always something.
Oh, that. Yes. Okay, if you have any suggestions that you think it's really worth, however expensive it would be per shot, like a mil per shot, whatever it would be, yeah, if you have any suggestion for a bolt special, go ahead and send it in and give it a look. Regardless, let's head over to the sneak peek of the week with Mod Ghost.
Maybe not. We've got it.
Let's close this. Hello, that was a bit confusing, wasn't it? I'm Mod Ghost, and this is the sneak peek of the week. So we've got treasure trails coming up soon, and some of you wanted a mummy outfit. Now what I've done is I've looked at the softening, no, not softening, it'll be the pyramid minigame, mummies, and I've made you an outfit that looks similar to those. Using the same colour scheme and kind of roughly the same design of how that's spaced around with the bandages just there. You can see it walking. Just rotate it around. Okay, and if I just close this, we've got a female version as well. And we can do a catwalk, there we go. So you get a feeling of how they're going to walk around in game. So she's modelling the 2016 Treasure Trails Old School outfit for females. I can't make her turn, so she's just going to endlessly walk. We make her run too, actually. Okay. Cool. Yes, so that is the outfit. I would show you this in game. I've been trying to, but for some reason the rental keeps crashing. I don't know what's going on there. But hopefully I can sort it out. We can possibly come back to me in a bit. I'm not sure if we can do that. Can we do that, Chris? Possibly come back to me in a bit. Is that all right? Okay, thank you very much. Stay tuned.
Shall I go over there and have a look at his rental to see why it's crashing?
I'd love you to.
I believe that stream hasn't been
I was gonna
merged,
clap.
so
Nobody else
there'll
can
be a
save
few
that for the
engines
game
out of
question.
date.
We'll clap for
really?
the next one. Okay. All right. Well, that's the mummy outfit. It's soon to come from the Clue Scroll expansion, Master Clue Scrolls. There's this awkward gap here now. He'll be back. Don't worry, guys. Let's go to this next question then. Where have we gone to? Right here. Aeration asks, could you tell us what caused Monkey Madness 2 to be pushed back a day?
There was just so much to go through testing that if we did release it on that day, we couldn't guarantee that we would catch everything. Things like that maze turned out to be a much bigger testing job than we'd anticipated. The boss battle was delayed as well, development-wise, so that testing kind of got done on the day that we planned for release. And I think in the long run, releasing it a day late and having it free of all the major bugs was a much better choice than releasing it and just hotfixing throughout the day.
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, we were working until very late Wednesday night. We were really trying hard to get this out on Thursday, and if we could have, we would have. It ultimately came down to the fact that me and Mod John C just didn't feel that it was safe enough for us to launch it at the end of Thursday, when it was already the end of the day. And ultimately, we have to stay around in the office making post-release fixes as well, so it just worked out a lot better. It allowed us to make more polish and fix more bugs, and ultimately, I think it proved it was worth it. It went out very well.
Seemed to come out very bug-free.
There was a few problems, but for a big release that size, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah,
was
arguably one of our
fantastic.
biggest updates ever.
It tied into so much content. I mean, usually if we do a big piece of content, at least it's isolated, and so testing as well is much easier when that's the case.
All right, next question. Tilvels asks, on a previous Q&A, you discussed allowing the Gnome gliders to travel from any location without returning to the Grand Tree first. Could we see a similar option added to the magic carpets?
That would be difficult with the magic carpets, at least for the actual travel option where you see yourself get on the carpet and the carpet moves specifically in that direction. So it would probably be a fairly big job to achieve that.
Okay. He's got a follow-up here saying, similar to the way you switched the locations from the Berthorpe Games Room teleport on the Games Necklace, can the same be done for the Clan Wars Telly to have it bring you closer to the portal instead of the bank?
How lazy is that? Come on, the Berthorpe one made sense, because the Berthorpe teleport was completely
Yeah, you
away
have to
from
go
where it goes
upstairs
now.
and-
Yeah. You had to go upstairs. It's completely different. No, I don't think we need to make that portal even easier to access.
Okay. Basically, can you save me 10 seconds? And the chat's actually agreeing. That's
I
nice.
prefer the idea as well of waiting for that new construction room and having some kind of refreshing pool, so there's actually a benefit to having that,
Yeah.
rather than buffing the Clan Wars portal.
Okay. Numbers asks, can Lizardmen Shamans get a single area as well? Am I saying that right? Shamans?
Yeah.
Shaman or Shaman, who knows?
Shaman? Whatever.
Um,
Single area?
What do you think, Jed?
It all comes down to will they end up being easy to farm. They're meant to be challenging. They're meant to be a somewhat boss. And so making it single does make that arguably easier to do. But it depends how many people are currently doing it. If we're losing a lot of people actually interact with that content because of the fact it's multi, then we can consider changing it.
I think with the Shamans, we're likely to be expanding Zaya in the fairly near future. And with the land outside, we know that's where the Lizardmen are coming from, so there'll be more Lizardman terrain out there. And I think that would be a very good place to just have more Lizardman Shamans, perhaps some in single way next time, just because we're expanding, we add more stuff, that's something that people do keep asking for. And I wouldn't really mind, because their mechanics work just fine for there only being one other thing around, especially with those little doobies they spawn that follow around and explode. Yeah. So perhaps we'll just do it out there.
I think it seems to be going really well. Just judging how the Dragon Warhammer is still such high value, I think it's
how much is it
70
now?
mil now still.
Wow.
A lot higher than I was expecting. But yeah, it's obviously
It's a
seems
damn
quite
useful
balanced
weapon
in
to
that.
have.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, but would that still be the case if we had kept the safe spots and things like that?
exactly. All right, moving on. Here we are. Slayer of Evil asks, can you pull adding rares that are non-recurring? Says they could be untradeable. Just nice to have something to represent the timestamp for how old the account was. So reminding me of like the Scythe and Bunny ears.
We've kind of got a timestamp for how old the account is in terms of Hans telling you how old the account is.
You can't really wear that and show everybody though.
No, we can make Hans shout it above his head if you're really old. Like, look at this guy, he's really old.
Yeah.
Much like how the Queen sends you a telegraph.
Yes. She'll be writing to herself soon if she gets any older. In terms of items that show, how long you've been there, I wouldn't really mind too much, but there's for other players who missed the weekend it was launched, made available or something. It really is quite mean that for that missing out on that, they permanently cannot ever have that item. And it's if we, on the other hand, we just wait a bit longer because Old School seems to be around for the long term. Certainly, given the survey answers we've been seeing. Adding a cape to show people who've been in Old School for 5 years would make pretty good sense. And it's not that long till we hit 5 years because we're well into the 4th now. It'd be like the veteran capes, only rather than trying to take into account how going back to 2002, like the other game does, we maybe shouldn't do that because a lot of players couldn't use their old accounts when they came back for Old School when we launched in 2013. But it won't be that long till we could do a veteran cape for 5 years of Old School and keep
like
upgrading as that goes.
I think it'd be kind of cool. I don't know if you'd have to do it in addition, but something to show a day one player as well, because I know we have a lot of day one players. Probably all of us. Probably.
I was fixing stuff.
That'd be kind of cool. Next question then. Kennedy asks, Circle buff idea, make it like the Hex Hunter bow from Dungeoneering, where it does more damage the higher the opponent's magic level is.
The Circle's dead, guys.
They're trying really hard.
So,
Yeah, there is somebody with a big stack of Seercalls who's sending in these suggestions every week.
Yeah.
maybe we could use it as an ingredient in construction, like we said.
Makes sense, yeah. But in all seriousness, I do like the Hex Hunter effect. I like that sort of thing.
What if we could load the heavy ballista with them and you could shoot them?
What? This is why you're the video producer.
That's a great idea.
Shots fired.
I think if we straw polled that, that's a 90% right there. Yeah, the Hex Hunter bow. I don't know. We're kind of reaching here. We're trying really hard to make this thing good. Moving on then. I'm not going to say this guy's name. Sorry. Churi. No, that's it.
Chevicek, I think.
Yep. How about a mini quest from Arceus House, which would allow a wizard from Karen to enchant your hands to allow you to break vials after finish.
Hands open bracket, E,
Come on.
close bracket.
This guy he took the time to send this in. Enchant your hands to allow you to break vials after finishing a potion or combining them. There.
All right.
Yeah.
They've been asking for a toggle for it. I like that kind of toggle slightly better than the usual kind of toggle.
See, it's a good idea.
Thank you, Check, if that's your name. But we can't say Arceus either, so it's probably not your problem.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really nice reward. No one wants the vials.
I would 100% do this.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Enchanting your hands, that's a little iffy.
Oh, I don't know. Wandering around with magic hands could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Next question. Pre asks, when you pick up ammunition that you already have equipped, it automatically goes into your... it's a suggestion, rather. It automatically equips into your ammunition slot instead of going into your inventory.
Totally fine.
Yep.
Really?
Are they on
I like that.
categories?
Well, it would just notes that the thing is equipable into into quiver slot, and matches the item currently in quiver slot, or quiver slot is empty, and shoves it up there.
Ooh,
We don't
a lot
have
of
any ammo
yeses.
with equipment requirements, so I think that's safe.
Yeah, that should do it.
Would we let
haven't
them do
done
that
it.
with like a full inventory, or would they need the space?
Oh, we could do it direct if they had a full inventory,
That's really cool.
and we could do it via telegram as well, just to look like we remembered. Although
Just to
who
show
ever
off.
mind cares. Yeah.
So we haven't straw pulled anything yet. Yeah, this seems like a good straw pull. Again, guys, if you pick up ammunition that you already have equipped, it would go straight to your quiver
Yeah,
as
shove
opposed
it
to your
up your quiver.
inventory.
I don't see why anyone
Right.
would say no to this, to be honest.
Straw
Good
pulls.
suggestions today.
Can you go in the
Easy
chat?
escape.
It is a good suggestion, yeah. So I think we'll do a couple more questions before we head back over to Mod Ghosts. If he gives me a thumbs up. He did. All right, next question then. Where are we here? Mad Hat asks, will we be able to take mounted boss heads down to apply them to our Slayer helmets for the proposed update?
I don't think we'd been planning that, but we could probably do it.
Can you not take them down?
I'm not
Thing
sure you
is-
get much if you do.
You might not get the head back.
It's not like the Amulet of Glory where you can get your glory amulet back. I know that exists because I had to rewrite it to stop you getting infinite glories back from other people's houses.
We also did this update where we let them split the KBD heads into the ensouled heads.
Yes.
And then we went and said, by the way, they can make this really cool Slayer helmet after you've already used them all.
I don't see why we can't do that.
Well, we're not
Makes
going to
sense.
make them stick the KBD heads back together again, though.
Yeah, as long as you don't let people get infinite of them.
Apparently, we've got code for that. I've not heard of anyone getting infinite free amulets of glory in Old School.
Wow.
Well, they like having that.
We've got the straw pull back. If you would, if you pick up ammunition you've already got equipped, it goes straight to your quiver at 93%. Yes.
Very nice.
Cool. Good suggestion. More of those. Next question. Flurky asks, why can't the Third Age one auto-cast Ancient Magics?
The Third Age one has the exact same stats as the Master's Wand, so it's a good question.
The players have picked up on the fact that the straw poll is referring to AMO. That's Latin for
Took me a
I'm
second to
off, I
read
believe.
that.
That's why it's winning.
Yeah, so if we have to put it again with ammo. No, it's all right.
Over
all
2K
right.
votes on that. Very interactive
But
chat today.
no, I mean, I would happily have the Third Age wand cast Ancient Magics like the Master's Wand does.
Yeah.
I'd have to go through a poll, but yeah.
Quite easy to change, actually.
Can we make the bow as well shoot
was gonna
top
say
tier
that.
arrows?
There's a complication there with the Dragon Arrows, isn't there?
There is, but I'm really quite confident that the four of us as content developers these days could solve it if we wanted to.
It's nothing they can't do.
Well, that isn't one of the things we
Nothing.
can't do.
Ginge asks, can we allow leprechauns to unnote saplings?
Do they unnote anything?
Don't think so.
They can note things, right?
Yeah.
They
Yes.
can't
They
unnote.
can't unnote arbitrary stuff because that would turn into a free way of unnoting, edible food and such like.
I don't see that as a.
Basically just turn them into a banker.
It's just I think it's just a way for them to use the leprechaun and take noted saplings when they're on a farming run for
Yeah.
trees, essentially.
Yes. Next thing they'll be asking us to plant the noted saplings.
Yeah.
I think the code for unnoting things is actually sitting on the leprechaun ready to uncomment anytime we want it. So if they want it, they can certainly have it. Though I see a lot of no's coming up.
Mm.
You can,
Laserscape and a guy
you can
with ears.
unnote not far away, I'm sure.
Okay, should we head over to Mod Ghost then?
Hey, so back again inside game, showing you these outfits. So this is kind of like a relevant environment, I think, for these outfits. So let's just go down the pyramid where you can see some of the mummies in game. Okay, so if I just hop around, hopefully we can find a mummy around here somewhere. Yes, there is definitely a mummy. I'm not armed, which was very stupid of me. But you can see the kind of comparisons between the two kits. I'm actually just going to change into the male kit as well. You may as well whilst we're here. So just add the makeover mage. Whoa. Yep, so I've changed into a male one. So you can see how that kind of suits the environment and the NPCs currently in game for this kind of style. Thank you very much. That was brief, but necessary for some people. Cheers.
All right. I think we can clap now. Yeah. We didn't clap the first time. Disrespectful. Again, that is the mummy outfit to come with the Clue Scroll expansion, with the Master Clue Scrolls in the near future. Right?
Somewhat near future.
Somewhat near future. Okay, cool. Let's see, where have we gone to now? Tux asks, can we have the ability to resmelt jewelry to get gems back? He says, no gold bars back, and no experience.
Do not we need maybe more gem sinks rather than a way of getting your gems back?
No. This means you could buy one set of gems, your 1,000 dragonstones, make them all into jewelry for the price of a gold bar, get your gems back, and then craft them again and get more crafting XP.
Very click intensive though.
Making jewelry ain't too bad.
Unless we give him no
40
dialogue or
and
anything like that.
All the same, I think more gem sinks would be the better direction to go rather than making gems never sink.
Right? Laceless asks, how does the team feel after spending quite a long time developing Monkey Madness 2 for it only to be available for a few hours per player and then never played again?
That's writing quests for you. We've been doing it for years.
Hopefully it's a quest they remember.
Yeah.
And also, when you've done it, there's areas you can go back to, there's rewards you can use in future. The ballistas, for example.
A replayable boss fight?
Yeah, we aim to make quests not just be a few hours and then never thought of again, but a few hours that earns you something that benefits you for the rest of your RuneScape career. That's the aim anyway. Tried it when I started writing quests. I did Swan Song, gave you monkfish from the Piscatorus fishing colony, something to jolly well remember you did that quest, so that it wasn't just the half hour you spent walking back and forth with a wise old man, but it was the thing that gave you the monkfish. And Jed's done a whole lot of post-quest rewards on this one.
I mean, it's much more than just that 2 hours. It gives people something to train their stats for. You've got high requirements on this quest, and even before release, when we released the requirements, everyone was going to train them if they didn't have them. It offers a lot more than just that 2-3 hour experience, I think. So, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Risk It All PvP has a suggestion here. He says, have the skull blink on and off when it's about to disappear.
Oh yes, he sent me that suggestion. Under the current engine, we can specify an icon to appear above your head. If we wanted it to start appearing and disappearing, then we'd end up calling that command on and off rather rapidly, and it might look a bit lame. But what I suggested at the time was that we could either requisition more engine features and wait quite a long time so we've got the time to do that one along with all the other things the players asked for the last few years, or just change it to a different colour skull for the final 10 seconds before it expires as a kind of indication that this skull is about to wear out. I think it might even support, I'm not sure if it supports semi-transparent skulls or not, but we could certainly change the skull's appearance to indicate that you're coming towards the end of it.
The question is, would you display that to everyone, or would you just display it to the person whose skull it was?
It had to be everybody.
The player
would be
who
the
wanted
request.
wanted to see it on his opponents to see when their skull was about to run out.
Right.
If we wanted to just show to you when your skull was going to run out, we could find other ways of displaying the timer on your computer.
We already display the time for Deadman, so...
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay, so we gather that it is possible.
Yep.
Just depends on which way you want to go.
Well, if you just wanted a different colour, then that's really easy.
Indeed, which is why I was suggesting it as an alternative to what he actually asked for. But the player who asked me for it in the first place, when I wrote back saying it would be much easier for us to just change the colour, he said, yeah, we can make it flash. And I said, it would be much easier for us to change the colour. He said, or you can make it flash. So I think he really, really wanted it flashing. Well, if we just change the colour, it might achieve what he's asking for without having to wait for there to be engine team time.
Oh, it's flash a colour.
It'd be nice to have it a different colour. It'd stand out more, I think, than have it flash. Especially if you're in a busy place.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see much more clearly.
I agree.
Plus, whenever we make stuff flash, I start worrying about it causing seizures in people.
All right. That could be a good one for that PvP-related poll we were talking about. Next question then. Lepel asks, you've said in the past max total level worlds won't be coming anytime soon as there aren't enough maxed players. Would you consider a world only open to the top 1,000 to 2,000 ranked players?
Ooh. That's an interesting approach.
It would need the world to be able to check, well, the ranks, which it currently can't do, I think, but I'm sure it could be made possible if it was something worth spending the time on.
Yes, currently your total skill level is obviously tied up in your save game, so that comes immediately when you try to get the save game from the login server. Either the login server or the game world would have to communicate with high scores if we wanted to get your absolute position.
And of course, anybody who isn't maxed is saying no. If we were to pull that, yeah, good luck.
You say it's an elitist world, but it gets the elitists away from you.
That's true. I think it's a cool idea. Chiu asks, does the Tormented Bracelet / Necklace of Anguish / Occult increase hit with the Black Salamander?
I don't see why they wouldn't. The Black Salamander, I assume, just works off your regular stats, right?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't.
You were at the Black Salamander.
Yeah.
You again?
I'm pretty certain it works off your normal stats, yeah. It was a long time ago. When was that, 2006?
I think it was 04 when you did most of the programming.
Oh, okay.
Come on,
Yeah.
you don't remember something from 12 years ago? All right, next question. Ardency asks, is it possible to reduce the heavy ballista spec to 50% to match the AGS?
Well, it's certainly possible, but...
Yeah, at the moment I'm seeing lots of people do that spec, leave, go and get spec back, and then go and do another fight.
Yeah.
So it would stop that.
I see people just bringing a second spec web. Using it personally myself, I did feel the spec was a little underwhelming. But the weapon itself is good for normal shots, so it's not bad.
Also, 2 in a row isn't quite as powerful with a slow weapon as it would be if you were talking at, low pipe speed.
Yeah.
That's a very varied one.
It depends how do people feel about how powerful the spec is?
I didn't have any luck with it personally in like the hour that I used it, so I can't really say much.
On launch day, I had a lot of people write in saying that they thought it was overpowered and needed rebalancing urgently, and then they all stopped talking about it, which suggested that maybe they changed their minds when they'd used it for a bit longer.
I think maybe we should give them a little bit more time to play with it and
Yeah,
then
that's
come
what I
back to
think.
that topic.
So what they're saying mostly at the moment seems to be weak, among other things they're saying.
Just the special attack, yeah. Alright, next question then. Origin asks, can salamanders be made one-handed so it's possible to equip them with a shield or a book? And I was just thinking, holding a salamander one-handed, you grab the tail and you just pointed. Just for this, I want this up.
We've got all the salamander questions in today. This is...
All 2 of them.
It's a fairly rigid salamander, otherwise you hold its tail, it just kind of flop at you.
Don't you hold it like this? You hold it like this currently, don't you? Yeah.
You pull the tail, I think,
Okay.
to fire it.
So
So I
you-
don't know how you're going to do that one-handed.
Maybe you squeeze it.
It's not like screwing a ketchup bottle at someone.
Yes.
Okay, so
We
whether
would require animation work to make it happen, I think.
whether it's something that should happen or whether it's just a silly idea is the question.
Would people use it if it was one-handed?
I'd love to see a buff to salamanders. I don't think they're used enough.
It might take more than making it one-handed though before people go and use it.
No-handed. It's the next logical step.
All right.
Selling rare 300 salamander.
Shall we move on then? Katie asks, can you look into updating temple trekking or to something more similar to what the RS3 version has? So apparently the RS3 version, he says, I'm not sure when it was, maybe after the introduction of the Invadis flail. They updated it to have the NPCs that gained levels from 1 to 99. This made it feel like it actually gained actual progress, whereas now it currently doesn't.
I did like that update, and I think it fits very well. It didn't really change the content too much, but it made it a lot more rewarding for playing. It allowed you to choose which reward you got at the end. So currently you get a random like bowstring or silver bars or sharks or whatever it is. And this allowed you to choose which one you wanted. So you could get a lot of silver bars if you wanted silver bars. And also you had that progression with the NPCs leveling up, which allowed you to get some other rewards based on the total levels, which was cool.
It's always a bit weird, of course, that if the Smitty Riot wants to get to this temple, and when you got to there, she needs to be taken again. She somehow got back. But the more you take her, the better she gets at walking through that temple.
What I do remember is that those hard NPCs are absolutely useless, and it was an absolute nightmare playing that.
Yeah.
They just stood there. They attempted to hit it with the walking stick, and
Well, he's meant to be quite old, that guy.
But yeah, and I'm certainly open to doing some changes to temple trekking to make it a more enjoyable experience and more rewarding.
That was a good update. I think it was Mod Chris L did that one.
Yeah, it was, I believe.
All right. Baratho asks, can you increase the amount of bolts the bolt pouch can carry? Currently it can only hold about 250. I think it's 250 of each type for like 4 types, but yeah.
I'm delighted to hear it's used. Or could be used.
I'd see it being a lot more used if we could increase it to like 10k per bolt.
Oh, I think we can see what we can do about that.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't data allocated for higher numbers at the time, but we've worked around that kind of thing before when we had to. And if it would make the bolt pouch useful, then it'd be worth it.
It's just like, what's a bolt
It's already in the game, guys. You just probably haven't seen it.
Why would you use it?
If you wanted to bring multiple different bolts to kill like Zulrah or something, I guess. I don't know.
So you'd have one in your... Oh yeah, okay.
It allows you to save bank space as well.
It might be possible to improve its interface a bit as well. I mean, the interface looks fine, but clicking things in and out of it is what you might call the pain. Whereas these days, if we could, treat it like you could drag stuff between its slots and into your quiver and out again by just dragging items around, then you might have a better chance of doing it during combat, which might be a useful mechanic.
If you could combine this with the suggestion earlier, where you pick up an ammunition and bolts rather, and they go straight into your quiver.
Your bolt pouch.
Yeah, go straight into your bolt pouch.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Why are people shouting for a Zezma statue?
What?
Why would anyone want that?
All right. Next question. The Finknator.
Hang on, we don't even know what Zezima looks like, do we? So
No,
Zezima's
no
statue
one-
could be anything.
No one knows.
Maybe they're trying to find out what Zezima looks like by having us do a statue of him. And trouble is, we don't know either.
That's tough. Yeah.
The Finknator asks, back in the old days of RuneScape, did the team ever consider allowing players to be races other than just human?
Ian?
Not in RuneScape, no. I mean, one of the issues we would have had would have been, you've sort of got the identikit the players made up from. You would have had to have made armors for all the different races you could be. Admittedly, in RuneScape Classic, most of the races were just resized humans. Dwarves are smaller humans, giants are bigger humans. No, the only time we ever explored that was Mechscape, where we had 4 playable races, and then we found out that creates 4 times as much development time. So, possibly not a great route to go down.
Yeah.
One of the things is that at the moment, you click on a tree and it makes you perform the animation for human clicking on tree. If, on the other hand, you were suddenly a dwarf and they use a completely different base setup, or if you were something that's a completely different shape altogether, like a chaos elemental, then we'd have to make separate animations for all the things you could be, all clicking on a tree, and we'd have to have the code check all the possible things you could be every time you go on that tree. And then there'd be agility shortcuts and mining rocks and a whole lot of other things you might go and interact with around the world. That's incidentally why we've never been able to let you have the bedsheet outside that ghost town that I can't say, because of all the animations you might try to be performing in it. So
Okay.
It is a shame, but
I think
we've really run into a lot of issues if we start trying to do that.
Same with monkey Greegrees. You
Yeah,
can't
that's
use
right.
them anywhere you want because we need a whole load of animations.
Yeah, so though of course in the case of chopping trees as a monkey, the developer approached it by just saying you don't move, you just are a monkey that sits there next to a tree and gradually gets wood from the tree anyway, without any animations taking place. It just sits there getting logs.
Well, I think the fact that RuneScape doesn't have classes became one of the things about RuneScape that made it unique.
We had classes right at the start. We didn't
Originally,
have
yeah.
races, but we had classes.
I chose to be a miner
Yes, so you got a pickaxe in your starting inventory.
and like level 5 mining.
Yeah.
But in the
Cycling
fact that you're not restricted from any of the content in the game, you can play
You can
anything you
level up
want and
all
you
the
can change at
skills at
any
once,
time.
yes.
Yeah, became a unique thing.
All right, guys, I'm afraid we're out of time. Got a few more questions we're going to have to save for next week. That's fine. Don't think there's anything else to finish with, no? Yeah.
I got nothing.
Filming for a cool video coming up, just to hype it up a little bit. We're doing a how to pronounce RuneScape words video. So I'm going to have some of your favorite JMods in that, attempting to pronounce some of the most difficult words in game.
Or Dugn, etc.
Look forward to that. Aside from that, give the stream a follow if you enjoyed. Give the YouTube video a like if you enjoyed. Aside from that, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.